tonight's town workshop, August 21. First aboard will be a discussion on return of investment components of Phase 2, proposed sewer plant project.
Great. All right, thanks, Barry. Rick and I are here. We're going to work through the pro forma a little bit deeper, answer any questions you may have about the project and where the dryer comes in. So we brought the Excel spreadsheet, and we can play with that and plug and play any way you want. So.
Yeah, really, we want you guys to kind of ask questions on this as we go through it. Tom and Patty sat on a Zoom call before, so they're kind of up to date on how we kind of go through this. We were very conservative on the numbers for this, and that was for a reason, so we're not shooting for the stars, and we come in way under on the estimated revenues and cost savings. So basically, as you saw in the presentation a week or two ago, kind of shows, and this is all about the additional 11.7, I think they're coming in at a little under 12 million, part of the project that incorporates the dryer, which is the cost savings, and the septage receiving, which is our revenue generation. And what that does is shows a payback immediately for that, which helps pay for the initial asset renewal project of the 18 point some odd dollars that really has to be done. That has to be done at the plant asset renewal. We have to have that for safety, for just operational. So pulling this extra piece in really helps pay for itself and for the additional work done at the plant. And you guys kind of have seen this before, so you kind of asked a lot of questions on it, which were great. So anything you want to look at, so
start from the left, right over, start on the left and work our way over.
Yep, and okay, so the project payment column C is for the additional project. So like I said, all these costs are just for that 11.7 million, which include the dryer and the septage receiving. So that shows the annual lease payment, and then you have the short-lived assets and maintenance, which are cost of doing business. So that amount is thrown in there.
So let me jump in there. So obviously, as the project as the equipment is new, we wouldn't need 52,000 a year, but that would be put into a line item in our budget, and that'll be banked away. So when those repairs start to come up, we'll have those in reserves.
And then column F, which is the additional electricity usage for the additional equipment, the dryer and other technologies, that's included in. The natural gas usage. With the digester upgrades, we will be producing more biogas, but we will need to heat those year round. In winter, it's more intensive to keep those heated, to have them working properly. But during the summer, maybe we'll be able to offset some of those natural gas costs with additional biogas. But we kind of, the figures are in there for usage of just natural gas for that dryer. So there's an upside to that column too. Those are kind of the costs, and now to the savings. We go on to H is the landfill disposal, which...
Can you increase the size of that?
See if I can do that. Yeah. Sorry. What's that?
I'm going to have to just go by what you're telling me because I didn't have this document in front of me and I can't see that.
Want to use that? I have.
Oh, sure.
I have this one.
I can give mine.
No, I can see it.
You want...
I can give you mine.
I got one. No,
Okay.
Dolly gave me one.
Okay. So did you want to go over any of those again, Barry?
No, that's fine. Keep
Okay.
going.
Is that big enough?
Perfect. Thanks.
The landfill costs,
They look good to me.
that is savings annually, and that's really figured on with the upgrades of the digesters will reduce our solids content, because currently they're not working up to par, so we're not getting the volatile destruction, which is, so we will have some weight loss on that, which will in turn reduce our hauling cost immediately with digester upgrades. I just want
That's
to go...
before you get to the dryer?
That's before we get to the dryer, we'll have some savings. In that, can you just click on the landfill tab? I just want to make sure I'm explaining this correctly, that it's, so figured in that is the current charge and the amount we're sending out weekly. And that's not, right, that's no savings on, oh no, I'm sorry, that does include the dryer too. So it's a dual process. We're going to reduce it with the digesters, but then also sending it through the dryer will reduce it even further. So that is what we're projected to save in landfill costs. So back to the pro forma.
Yep.
And then septage revenue, leachate revenue, the high-strength organic waste and sludge revenue. Those three, they're based off on, digesters are designed to treat a certain amount of what they call volatile content. And 10 state standards said you're supposed to load them at 80 pounds of volatile solids per 1,000 cubic feet. It's kind of a figure that they use, so that's how they design it. So these numbers right here are off of what we are going to be designed to treat. But in practice, what I found in running digesters is you can load them heavier. You can push more through them. Digesters are very hardy, so really that's the bottom line. So there's a lot of upside on those numbers too. So all these are very conservative.
Where do you get your numbers for septage revenue and leachate revenue?
Okay, so
How do
the
you arrive at those?
Here they are right here.
And they were historical,
Historical?
Yeah.
yep,
Okay.
and conservative historical.
But
Okay.
again, I want to reiterate, it's off of what we can load those digesters at too. So say right now, design for those two digesters, we can load that many gallons of each of those. In practice, we may be able to say, okay, we're going to take 40,000 gallons of septage because instead of 20, we can push through 40. So all those are really baseline again. So I'm saying they're very conservative. And then,
2023 are a realistic number as far as this being up and running?
what's that?
2023 is where you're starting with these numbers. Is that a realistic
I
number?
think that's along the schedule that they're pushing through.
Okay.
That is along the schedule, and, you know, as we work through this and we work through performance contracting, we can work through the system, and where's our biggest bang for the buck? You know,
Right.
that's going to be the dryer. You know,
Yes,
let's work it in
absolutely.
the schedule that we can get that online first.
That's a good plan.
And then there's the cake receiving revenue, which will be taking outside cake from smaller municipalities and townships and villages that are paying the same price as us, but maybe now they can bring it to us at a little cheaper price.
Right.
And we get the revenue from that. So we can save them money, but also create a revenue stream for us.
And it's being designed to handle the additional capacity,
Yes, yeah,
obviously.
Yep.
What's the difference between sludge and cake?
Well, a lot of times there's liquid sludges that some will, they'll land apply, or maybe something's broke down and they can't put it through a digester, or they don't have a belt press or a centrifuge or something like that, and they gotta haul the liquid.
Okay.
I know the town is running that situation when our digesters were down prior
Yep.
to me, that they had to haul liquid. That's very expensive,
Yep.
but if we can give them a cost viable option to bring that to us, you know, that's what we're looking at.
Is this piggybacking on the performance contract, the presentation that we saw last week?
This
Or
This
separate?
has nothing to do
No.
with the performance contracting.
Okay.
This was what we were moving along with anyways.
Okay,
What we saw that the performance contract could possibly bring to the table was the expediting the project, keeping it moving.
that was just basically an
Yes,
information
yeah.
meeting.
That's
Okay.
exactly right.
Yeah.
Okay,
Right. So then back to your question, just to be clear, so the cake is a byproduct of the centrifuge or the belt
It's the
press?
dryer stuff.
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay.
And what is the percent solid or moisture content that we're putting out now?
It's 30% solids.
And we would be at what?
Still 30, it's still coming off of.
What would be with a dryer?
Oh, dryer 90%.
So there's your weight.
So it's, you know, in perfect
It's
science,
gonna
not
reduce
exactly 60%
it's gonna reduce the weight
reduction.
by 3 times.
Yeah,
Right.
around there. Probably not as much because it's not that exact science. Because it's 30 and it's 90, it's 60, it doesn't really work out
Right,
that
but
way.
that's what we
But
saw.
It is a reduction.
That's what we saw in Pennsylvania.
Right.
And, you know, if you remember, we brought the sample in
Yeah.
of the dry product, and it's still sitting in my office. Don't even know it's there.
And really, and again, that's what's really pushed us through on this is the dryer, is being the driver of our own future with solids handling and not waiting for landfills to raise their prices or close down and really limit where we can bring our solids, because that's not going to stop. So we do have to kind of be looking into the future
Right.
for that. So with all of that, year one, we're looking at an annual cash flow of $136,000.
So that cash flow, again, the project payment is just for that 11 million. The annual cash flow of 136 would then go and feed into that 19 to 20 million that needs to be done anyways. So this portion of the project is actually helping fund the other portion that needs to be done.
Which, if we weren't doing this part of it, or looking to do this part of it, you would have to pay that full shot.
Correct.
Instead of now, we're looking at a little extra revenue and cost savings to help pay for that, which has to happen anyways. So then the kind of, I don't want to say the fun starts with this pro forma, which is a tool we can use throughout this, is that, okay, you know what? Let's look at the landfill cost.
Okay.
And now, let's go back to pro forma, and let's look at what our annual cash flow was at 136 year one. We'll just look at that number. So say project's taking longer, and all of a sudden our prices go up to 150 in this project. And you look at, now it's 187,000 that we've saved because we've done the project and we don't have to pay that 150. And we're looking at that probably happening. It isn't going down. It isn't going to go below 125.
Right.
So also you go into the revenue, and we can push through maybe 40,000 of the septage, and maybe now, and double leachate, 18,000 of leachate. And now you're up to almost 500,000 in added revenue. So those are the things that, and in the projects in the past, I've gone through how the engineers design it and how 10 state standards says it has to be. You wind up being over-designed, usually, and that's where you use that excess capacity to bring in extra revenue.
Right.
And so what we did in Rome was we had to do an aeration project, and they said, okay, we needed 2 milligrams per liter DO throughout the tank. So that created how much air we needed to put to it. Well, we tweaked it down to 1 milligram per liter. And in some of the tanks, we went to 0 in minimum mix. And that opened up where we were saving even more in energy costs. And we said, this was performance contract 2, and we said after the year 2, okay, we don't need you to verify savings anymore because we're showing that we can do this. So we tweaked it down further and created more treatment capacity for us. So what they give you and how we want to work it afterwards is really key to, the operations of the plant. Any questions so far on these, or?
My biggest question for this whole project,
Yep,
bottom line is, say you get no seepage, you get no leachate, you get none of that.
okay,
All you have is our own byproduct.
okay.
How much do we save with just our own byproduct? Not getting anything else from any other source.
Want to zero those out?
And zero them out.
And now you're behind
Now you're behind.
400,000.
I can't hear you.
Then, well, we would be out that revenue, so that would be.
$392,000.
There'd be no revenue
390,000.
stream at that point.
Correct.
That's what I anticipate happening, to be honest with you. You're making an assumption you're gonna get it. It's not like it's coming to us now. It's an assumption you're gonna get it. So you're asking us to build something on the assumption we're gonna get revenue from it, but not with anything in line saying, we got people standing in line that want it. This is what we think might happen.
Well, and then
I don't
we-
like building something for
Oh, I
$12 million on what might happen.
totally understand.
Absolutely, but bear in mind, they can't come to us because the plant can't handle it. The market is out there.
Yeah.
And the septic haulers and the leachate haulers continually call
They're
us.
calling us.
When can we deliver? When can we drop off? So they're there, they want to come to us because of location, and we're going to make this facility much easier for them to get in and out. Their turnaround times will be less, their trucking times will be less. But
understand all
completely
that,
understand what you're saying.
I understand all of that.
Yeah,
Okay,
Well-
and I understand your numbers,
yep,
okay? My big concern as a board member
yep.
is you asking us to build something
Right.
that we might not get any return on except for what it does for us for saving our hauling.
And I'm not pushing performance contracting at all. We brought it to you as a project delivery option that might answer that question. Because I've been involved in 2 performance contracting in Rome. The second one was similar to this in a way that the guarantee wasn't off of energy savings. It was off of the waste coming into the plant. So that company, which it would be either the one here that spoke, or there's 5 or 6 others out there, that they'll guarantee the revenue and the generation coming in. And if they all of a sudden say, okay, we lost 20,000 because this one company was bringing it, they've guaranteed that to come in, they'll go out and find other ways to come in, or they're on the hook for that revenue. That's their guarantee.
Okay.
So that's what I'm saying. So one of those positives for that type of project delivery, not only with the expedited timeline, is they're gonna guarantee some part of this. And that's what, we can dictate what we want them to guarantee. And so all of a sudden, if that waste goes away, and that was a very concern in Rome, because we were building this structure to create energy and take ourselves off the grid. Well, what happens if that waste goes away? And those are exact questions from the town common council, or the city common council. And that company was gonna say, well, you know what? We have all this, we do a rate structure, we do a landscape, we know what's out there in waste. And they'll know that if, okay, these pieces go away, we got a whole nother piece of pie that we have to make sure comes in, or we're on the hook for that guarantee. So that is one of the nice features from that, because then that kind of helps what that concern is to build it, and we have the guarantee that that waste is coming in to bring us the revenue.
Thank you.
Yep. But and being in the industry and knowing that there's going to be septic tanks, there's going to be people, industry has to get rid of this stuff somewhere. And if you build a nice enough facility, and yeah, there is no guarantee if we don't have a guarantee, but they'll want to come to a facility, they're in and out, and it's easy to discharge, and the price is right. And you do a market study, see where they're going. If they're traveling 40 miles when they can travel 10 miles, they'll pay a little extra because they're saving in gas and wear and tear on their vehicle. So it is, you know, it's an art and a study to see what's out there and what they're willing to pay, but that is a legitimate concern.
You know,
Without a doubt.
it's a great question. I'm really glad you asked it. So we look at our septage at 4 cents. From what we're seeing now, that might be able to go to 5, 6, even 7 cents. So again, very conservative. We wouldn't want to come in and say, you know, we're going to make $1 million a year. That's not who Rick and I are, and we wouldn't want to do that at all.
Okay.
Anything else on any of the tabs or any of the?
Maybe we can play with these any way you want. You guys want to push some numbers around any other way?
No,
Okay.
I just want to make a point that if we don't get it,
Yep.
Yep.
we're not sitting in a good spot.
I mean, if we're satisfied on going through this, you can jump to the wheel, or you wanted to?
Yeah,
Yeah, let's jump.
let's go to the wheel. Okay, so one of the questions Tom had asked us to cover was the historical release, if you will, of the WIA grant. And I think, Rick, you had done some research on that.
Yeah, with individuals that dealt with WIA in the past, and historically, the announcement was in June, with getting in your applications by the end of August, 1st of September. They're still hearing, it's coming, but nothing's come out yet. And that's all they got. But it wasn't last year. All indications, there will be something announced soon, but he kind of wanted to know what historically, how the timelines fell, and that's what we felt in 17, 18, 19, how those dates fell into place, and then not announced till early the next year.
Right, there's a lot of, obviously, with the new governor coming in and the infrastructure bill, you know, there's a lot of hope that the funds will be even increased. But historically, that's, you know.
And the numbers on the pro forma, there's no grant money figured into that pro forma at all, into that one,
Into that portion of it.
because it's thrown into the $18 million
Right.
WIA infrastructure, because they're figuring this won't get, for the WIA, won't get the grant money for that with the dryer and the septic receiving, but we'll get it. So it'll be just a little less than $5 million
Interesting.
when listed. But the IUP should be out sometime soon. We got that listed. I'm guessing we got that listed, and you need to be on that to actually be eligible for the WIA grant.
You said you did look at the numbers when you went to Pennsylvania, what their revenue was, or no?
Their situation was they were giving it away.
Yeah.
So ours is still sending it to the landfill. If we could find some big farmers to take it, residents, you know, you've now eliminated All of your hauling costs.
Yeah, I mean,
Being a
you-
Class A
Were they collecting
biosolid.
leachate?
Huh?
Were they collecting septic or leachate?
I don't know if they were taking any outside waste.
I don't know if they were either. I mean, you know, again, being conservative, just on reducing our weight, you know, there's a,
Right.
There-
if we can give it away, I think we kept
That's a
in
whole nother
200,
upside.
200,000.
Or sell it.
Pennsylvania was their unique situation with landfills. Yeah, if you know, then you'd get into whole marketing and all that
Right.
stuff. But Pennsylvania, they're really limiting how much municipal biosolids they want in landfills. They're ratcheting that down. So
Sure.
they're in, you know, a unique situation where they have to do something different. Not to say that New York won't be far behind.
Yeah.
Trying to get the organics out of there is the first thing. Next, they may want biosolids to be reduced at, it's 10% instead of 20% or whatever the numbers are.
Yeah.
So there's no other municipalities in New York State that you know of that are doing this or no?
No, there is one coming online. Well, it's in its infancy.
I know Auburn's looking into
Yeah,
doing
that was
digesters
it.
and sludge drying.
That was
This is
it.
like a $30 to $40 million project for
Right.
Auburn.
Wow.
So it gained in other states because of their landfill regulations.
Right.
New York usually is ahead of everybody else on that,
Right.
but they just got finally put through the organics ban. I'm sure, you know, some of this will be following.
Oh, it's nice to be ahead of the curve.
Absolutely.
Outside the landfilling of this byproduct, what is the use for it? You say you give it away?
Fertilizer.
Fertilizer.
It's a Class A fertilizer.
So it'd be spread on gardens, farmland.
Yeah, it's a Class A product with phosphorus and nitrogen still in it at, you know, levels that are make it a Class A biosolid.
Some marketing opportunities there.
Does it have a name?
A name?
Yeah, if you were to market it, what would you
Oh,
call it?
You may have seen it as Milorganite.
That's what I was gonna ask.
Yeah.
And there's other uses for it, but obviously this is early. Obviously you need to have it up and running and people know that you're doing it. But I just had a conversation with someone that they could utilize it as a fuel source. And
Right.
that's green energy, and you could actually, you know, give it to them or sell it to them if they're buying stuff to have as a fuel source. And that would also take care of this big PFAS and PFOS. Have you heard about that with the
The what?
the polyfluorinated chemicals that are in cleaning and hair care products and all that stuff? They're trying to get those out of landfills. Well, drying technologies and what we do right now does not break that bond down, but burning it would. So you'd almost, you know, you could give it to people who need to want to burn it in their furnaces
Wow.
as a fuel source. And that breaks down the PFAS and PFOS.
So as Rick and I have talked about incineration, one of my good friends owns one of the largest incinerator manufacturers and repair company on the East Coast. So as we get a little bit deeper into this, and that's an option, we can make that connection. And, you know,
All these are just potential upsides.
absolutely,
Right.
absolutely. So as we talk, you know, we have some time to, you know, go out and market the product, reach out to local manufacturers as far as high-strength waste, and develop this stuff on the front end.
Okay. That's all the questions I got.
I got nothing.
Great information for sure. It's nice to see the numbers.
Is that it?
I don't
That's
have
it.
any more.
You guys run the show?
It was a short and quick one.
That's it? We're done?
It was the two things that were to be talked about.
All right.
And really more of an information for you guys.
I don't have anything else.
No, I don't either.
Okay.
I do want to discuss briefly litigation, so if we can do executive session, or unless the meeting's going to be over, I might go into executive session to discuss a lawsuit.
Sure.
Won't take long, 5 minutes.
Do we have a motion?
Let me see, let me get the section we're talking. I would ask that town board go into executive session pursuant to Public Officers Law, State of New York, Section 105, Subdivision 1, subdivision D to discuss current litigation.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Who moved it? I'm sorry.
I did.
Okay. And Barry, you second it?
Yep.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.